Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see very important articles that appear in our today's Hindi newspaper. Today is Saturday. There are very less number of articles. There is no text and context and as well as opinion page guys. Only there are 4 to 5 articles which are relevant from our examination point of view and we are going to discuss that in detail. And one more thing here is we are going to provide you the online and as well as offline demo classes for new prelims cum mains foundation batch, that is from yesterday till July 3rd. So timings of this class is 2:30 to 6:30 p.m. You can get access on online and as well as offline also. So in offline, you can visit our academy, which is in Ashok Nagar, exactly above Vikas Book Center, 2nd and 3rd floor. And if you want to watch that free demo classes on online, please do download our Rathod Science Academy app and do register. So before starting of the class, you will be getting notification. Okay, now let us see the first article. See the title, guys. India trying for US trade deal by July 8 deadline. So what is this article talking about? It is talking about trade deal between which and which countries? India and US. So here this article is talking about India-US relations, right? From which subject we can say this? From GS paper 2 under international relations, we can say this. And which area we are focusing now? We are talking about trade deal, right? Trade comes under which subject? From GS paper 3 under economy. That means this article is important from your international relations and as well as from your economy. That means can you expect question in both mains and prelims? Yes, right? So international relations is there for your mains and economy is there for your prelims and mains. So you may get question from both areas. So how you can get a question from prelims? Can anyone guess? What includes in this trade? Trade includes two important components. What are there? Imports and as well as exports. And in our yesterday's or day before yesterday's class, we discussed about one concept called as trade surplus. What is this trade surplus is about? Whenever exports are more compared to that of imports, then we call it as trade surplus. So with which and which countries we are enjoying trade surplus? Yes. India and US, we are enjoying trade surplus, and as well as one more country, India and Bangladesh. So with this Bangladesh also we are enjoying trade surplus. So whenever you are having trade surplus, the ego of the countries will not be matching out. So because of this, what they'll do? They'll try to balance trade. What is balance of trade? Trade balance is nothing but we want to equalize exports and imports. Yes or no? So even you can apply it for your relations like your friendship or etc. There are two friends. So one is good at maths, one is not good at maths, but they are best friends. So ego clashes will happen or not between those two, even though despite of good friendship. In the same way, between India and US, we have trade imbalance. India is exporting more compared to the importing of US goods. So because of this, now US want to come up with this trade balance, not only with India, with whichever country it is facing trade imbalance, it wants to come up with balancing of trade. So for that, what is a tool which is now used by this US? Trade tariff. So what is this tariff? They are implementing or they are imposing taxes on what? They are imposing taxes on exports. On which countries? On the countries which they are having trade imbalance. Can anyone tell me the examples? China is there, India is there, Canada is there, Mexico is there, next UAE. So these are the countries on which they started imposing trade tariffs or taxes. Okay, so now if you see India and US. US started imposing of these tariffs on which products of Indian goods? Iron, steel, aluminium. And not only that, even on pharmaceuticals. Okay, so now what is the update is, we are going to have an agreement and we have to finalize this agreement by, what is the deadline? July 8th. So why we are focusing on this agreement by July 8th? The reason here is, US said that we are going to impose 26% of tariffs on all exports which are coming from India. So whatever the exports we are doing from India to US, now US said that we are going to impose 26% of tax, and this is going to be implemented from July 9th. So from July 9th, US is going to impose 26% of taxes on all exports of India. So because of this, now India wants to finalize before this deadline. That is, by July 8th, we are going to finalize this. Okay, now there are two chances. What are the two chances here? US can agree. That is the one chance. What is the next chance? US will not agree for this agreement. So now tell me, what are the advantages if US is agreeing with this agreement of decreasing of tariffs? What will be the advantages that we can get? Okay, we can increase our exports. Next, our goods will be costly or cheaper? Our goods will be cheap in US. Next, can we increase production? Can we increase employment opportunities? Okay, we can decrease poverty, hunger, and we can increase employment opportunities, etc. What if US is not going to accept this kind of agreement of decreasing of tariff? Tell me now, what happens if US won't accept this? Okay, trade will be decreased. Okay, there will be impact on our forex reserves. Next, we are going to decrease our production. And next one is, if US is not providing market, what we have to do? We have to search for other markets. What is that keyword is called as diversifying of markets. Okay, we have to go for diversifying of markets. Next, what will be the other impacts? Think and tell me. So in this we will be getting mains question. Okay, it will decrease our employment. What about our Indian rupee value? Increase or decreases? Rupee value will be decreases. This concept is called as depreciation. Very good. Whenever there is increasing of value of rupee, we call it as appreciation, A. So whenever the value of rupee is decreasing, it is called as depreciation. It is nothing but, what is the price of dollar is to rupee? $1 is equal to how many rupees? Any idea? 84 or 86? So this value constant? It will be changing, right? Sometimes the value will be increasing and decreasing. So whenever $1 is equal to, okay, I'll tell you one more important thing. For example, let us take $1 is equal to 80 rupees. Let us keep it as standard to make you understand what is this concept of appreciation, depreciation. What if $1 is equal to 76 rupees, and what if $1 is equal to 85 rupees? So which condition? So this is first scenario and this is second scenario. So first scenario is called appreciation or depreciation? Depreciation or appreciation. So this condition, whenever there is increasing of value, here rupee value is increasing. Yes. So this condition is called as appreciation. So here value of rupee is decreasing. So this condition is called as depreciation. Every year at least thrice you will be getting this kind of articles, appreciation or depreciation of Indian rupee. So on what basis there will be an increasing value or decreasing value of Indian rupee? Based on? Based on market forces. So based on market forces, there will be decreasing or increasing of value of rupee. So how it happens? I'll give you one example. Okay, this is our country, India. So many people, they are working in West Asia, yes or no? And many people, they are also working in US, and many people, they are working in Europe. Will you accept it or not? So Indian diaspora is spread in almost all countries. They'll do work there and they'll earn certain amount as salary, and they'll start sending back to India for their parents. For example, let us take dollars are coming. So the parents who are receiving that dollars, can they spend dollars in our country? For example, my family members are sending $10 for me. Can I take that $10 to nearby supermarket? Can I spend? No, right? I have to convert it into Indian rupee and I will be using that Indian rupee in the market. So I have to go to now banks or any areas where we can exchange money for dollars, right? Okay, I am going to certain areas and I am going to exchange them for Indian rupees. So if more and more dollars are coming into India, then what happened? More and more people wants to exchange them. That means here value for rupees will be increasing. Yes or no? That is called as appreciation. If number of dollars are coming less, okay, then what happened? There will be increased demand for dollar. Yes or no? So that what happened? Demand for rupee is decreasing. That condition is called as depreciation. It is as simple as that. Whenever influx of dollars are more in our country, then what happened? Demand for rupee will be increasing. That condition is called as appreciation. And if number of dollars are coming less to our country, demand for dollar will be more and demand for rupee will be decreasing. That condition is called as depreciation. Okay. So here, whenever the trade is happening, whenever we are having good trade, what happened? We can make our rupee strong. Okay, now if you go back here, so these are the advantages and disadvantages of this agreement. Okay, so now from which other dimensions we can see this article from? So recently we discussed about this BIMSTEC. Can anyone recall it? What are the problems regarding this BIMSTEC? What is BIMSTEC? What is the full form? Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Economic Cooperation. It is BIMSTEC. How many countries are part of this BIMSTEC? 7 countries. So what are the problems we are facing? Are we facing any problem regarding trade in that BIMSTEC? So actually we formed this organization for economic cooperation as well as trade. But with different countries, we are having differences and political instability, and we are having decreased trade. So because of this, what we said, we are going for this FTAs. What is FTA? Free trade agreement. Okay, so can we relate this FTA with what we are going to do now with US? Yes. So whatever the regional groupings which are there now, there is decreased efficiency of that grouping. So that now we are going for bilateral FTAs. That means we are going for agreements between two countries. So in this way, already we have differences between India and US, even though we want to do an agreement. Why we have to do an agreement with this US? Because we are enjoying trade surplus. Okay, so that is the thing, and these are the areas that you have to focus, and you may get mains and as well as prelims based question here, guys. Very, very important. And now let us see what exactly this article is saying. So who is this person? Any idea? Who is he?
Minister of Commerce.
Okay, Minister of Commerce. So Minister of Commerce means nothing but related to trade. So if you want to make any agreements or if you want to reach any new markets, this person will play a very important role. Yes or no? Okay, now let us see what he is saying. So India is striving to finalize agreement, trade deal with US by July 8th, because we want to avoid imposition of 26% of tariffs on all Indian exports which are going to US from July 9th. Okay, before this itself we want to finalize this and we are striving a lot. And the key things which are said in this article are India and US negotiating a mini trade deal before July 8th deadline to avoid 26% tariffs, and US demands which mainly includes India's market to GM crops and cow milk, both sensitive sectors. So one more concern of India is US is saying that if we want to finalize this deal, India need to open our market for GM crops. What is GM? Genetically modified crops. Can anyone give me examples of GM crops that we have in our country? Have you heard about this BT cotton, BT brinjal, GM mustard? They are genetically modified crops. What are these genetically modified crops? Any idea? Uh, GM crops. So we are modifying genes. We are modifying genes and we are inserting whatever the characteristics we need. That is called as genetically modification. So I'll give you one simple example of BT cotton. So you know about this cotton, right? What is cotton? Cotton is it is a fiber crop. So what we can make by using cotton? Why we need cotton? It is very important for our textile industry, right? And India is very much famous for textiles, so we need to grow this crop, right? And even if you go back to IVC period, what is this IVC? Indus Valley Civilization. At that time also, India is very much famous for cotton, and we had very fine and long thread cotton. So because of this, IVC used to call it with another name called as Meluha. Okay. So here cotton is very important for our textiles, especially it will be contributing a lot for our GDP. You know this. But the problem with this cotton is, do you know, whenever the flowering happens, after once flower fertilizes, what happens? It will be forming into a fruit, right? So this fruit is very important for cotton. So this fruit will be developing cotton, right? So actually what happens is, whenever this fruit, it is at very young age, it is affected by bollworm. And at that time, have you ever opened that fruit at very tender age or young age? Do you have this experience of playing with this cotton balls? So if you open it, you will be getting small white liquid and it is very sweet. So for that itself, this bollworm, they will come and they will try to eat this fruit. So if there is no fruit, means what happened? Do you produce cotton? That will cause heavy losses to the farmers. So for this cause, to kill this bollworm, farmers, they have to use pesticides. So whenever they are using pesticides, it will be causing harm for their health, and as well as it will also leads to increasing of cost for the farmer to buy that so and so pesticides and to spray. And sometimes if it is not working, means what happens? Entirely it will get losses to the farmer. So that is the thing which is happening. So now what scientists they did was, they isolated cells of this cotton plant and they removed the DNA. So you know, in every cell we have nucleus, in this cell we have DNA part, chromosomes, everything. So they isolated DNA and they removed certain part of DNA of this so and so plant and they inserted Bacillus thuringiensis. It is nothing but Bacillus thuringiensis. It is one microorganism. Okay, it will be producing toxins which will kill this bollworm. So they took this BT, that is Bacillus thuringiensis, and they isolated again cells of that. In that cell again they isolated gene and they took the gene which is responsible for producing of that toxin and they inserted this gene in this place. Okay, they are modifying the gene, right? And now whatever the new plant that we got, it is having pesticide in that itself. So if this bollworm is coming and eating that, already the pesticide or toxin which is present in that plant, so as soon as it is eating that, it will be dying. There is no need of external using of pesticide. That is called as genetically modified. Okay, now you understood about what is this GM, genetically modified crops. So is that good for health of the people? So here we are using cotton only for external purpose of a human, so we will not bothering about that. What about this GM mustard and BT brinjal? So BT brinjal is the same thing. So brinjal, you can see if you go to any market and if you pick up the brinjal, there will be one hole on it, and if you cut it, you will be having some insects in that, right? So brinjal is one of the mostly affected crop with this pest or insects or anything. So because of this, they came with BT brinjal. So many scientists and many people, they will not use this BT brinjal because it is having toxin, so it will be having impact on human and their health. And one more problem with this genetically modified crops are, so they have to always buy the seeds from the seed producer. So normally what we do, if you're from agriculture family, so after once you get the produce, you will be saving 1 or 2 bags for the next season. Have you ever observed this? Yes. So even if you're growing some vegetables in your house also, your mother will be saving 1 or 2 fruits for the seeds for next time, right? That will be there. So what is the problem here is, whatever the seeds that you are getting in this crop, they will be not fertilized. They cannot be used in the next season. Again, they have to go to the same manufacturer and they have to bring the seeds and they have to sow. Then only they'll get produced. So this is one more problem here. Okay. So all these things will be discussed in your science and technology classes clearly by Sukrut sir. Okay, just it is about introduction, what is this GM crops. So here in India, we are not using or we are not giving permission for this GM crops, especially for consumption. So here US is saying that India should open doors for GM crops of US. Will you accept this? No? We will accept but not purchase. Then what is the use? They will only close after some time. Okay, that is the second point. I hope you can understand here. US is demanding for opening of India's market to GM crops and cow milk. So as you all know that India is the second largest producer of milk in the world, right? And why we have to import again cow milk from US? What is the use? Huh? So what is the operation that India led for increasing of milk production? Any idea? Operation? What is that revolution, at least? White revolution. So recently this white revolution was once again in news. We came up with this white revolution 2.0. Yes, and in this white revolution 2.0, we are not only focusing on increasing of milk production, we are focusing on saving of our native breeds. Second important point, you know our native breeds, right? Native cattle breeds. And next one is we are focusing on women empowerment. Why? Because women will be taking care of cattle, feeding, everything. Okay, so this is about white revolution 2.0, which is in news last 2 to 3 months ago. Okay, and third point which is said in this article here is India resists GM crop imports to protect domestic farmers. The third point that I said in this GM crops is we have to purchase always the new seeds from the manufacturer. So because of this, already our farmers will be having lot of burden, because most of our agriculture in India is based on rainfall. We don't have proper irrigation. So, and if you want to go for GM crops, means increasing of input cost for farmers, and again it will lead to huge losses. Okay. And next one is US seeks tariff concessions on industrial goods, electric vehicles, dairy and wines. And US also demand that we want concession on industrial goods, electric vehicles, dairy and wines. So this is the thing which is there here. And what is happening now, what are the US objectives is, US is having trade deficit. India is having trade surplus. US is having trade deficit. Actually, US want to decrease this trade deficit so that they want to balance trade. Exports is equal to imports. Not only with India. Whichever the country they are having this trade imbalance, they are moving with this only. Okay, and they are imposing tariffs especially on agricultural products, dairy products, and our medical devices, aviation sector, energy sector, everywhere they have started imposing tariffs. And next one here is US wants to improve or strengthen its economic ties with India by counterbalancing trade tensions with China. So actually American companies, they are encouraging like Apple to diversify supply chains to India. So if they want to diversify their supply chains, actually do you know what is the problem with China? Chinese people are very talented. So if they get any new product into the market from any other company, within overnight they will be generating duplicates of that. So because of this, always developing countries and developed countries, if they want to start any unit in China, they will be getting fear of duplicates. So you can see also, if you go to any market, you will be getting alternative made in China product. And what is the advantage of made in China product? Yeah, cheap, cost, very less cost. So that if you want to buy anything, what will you opt for? What will you pick up first? China product. So because of this, all countries' economy will be devastating, right? So actually, US wants to counter China. That means US wants to diversify its companies, whatever there on this China, towards India. So if they want to divert here, they want to maintain trade balance. That is the second important area we have to focus. Yeah, so as I said, US is not imposing tariffs on only on our country. About 57 countries, they impose tariffs. Okay, yeah, that is the thing. And what are the India's objectives? So if India is not finalizing this deal, what happens from July 9th onwards? What is the tax they'll impose? 26% of tax. Our exports will become very costly. We will be not become very competitive in these US markets, and decreasing of production. And again, we have to search for other alternatives. So this will be the problems here. And actually, US is a one big market where we'll be getting access for wide range of Indian products. So if you're losing, that means we'll be getting huge losses. Okay, those are the concerns of India. So what is the impact if we are reaching this deal? We are going to get economic benefits. That means we can have the easy access to this US, and even we can attract more investment in this sectors. And for US, what happens? US will be having access to GM crops in our country. That's it. What if it fails? As I said, tariff will be imposed, costly exports, and we will be not having market access, investment, foreign currency, Indian rupee value, everything will be getting affected, nothing more than that. Yeah, see this next article. India, China to continue dialogue on border issues. Who is he? What is his post? Defense Minister. So what is happening across world? Which meeting is happening? What is SCO? Very good. Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So did we discuss this article earlier? So tell me, who are the members of this Shanghai Cooperation Organization? 4 Central Asian countries. Which is that one Central Asian country which is not part? Turkmenistan. Apart from that, which are other countries we have? India, China is there, Russia is there, Pakistan is there. That means overall, how many countries are part of this SCO? 8 countries. 4 Central Asian countries. One is China, Pakistan. Next one is India, Russia. So these are the here 4. 8 countries are part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Yeah, Iran is a new country which had been added in 2021. 21. Okay, now tell me, in last class what we discussed, our India is going to represent here, right? And what are the issues that we want to talk here? Yes, counter-terrorism, very good. Next. Russia is part, India is part, Pakistan is part, and Iran is part. What is happening in these 4 countries? War. Okay, we want to talk about war issues. Next. What are the problems with India and China, India and Pakistan? Yes, we are going to talk about border issues. Come on, in this way you have to guess everything, because in UPS you will be getting uncertain questions in your prelims and as well as mains. And if you want to clear this, your guessing power and your squeezing power, your imagination should be very high. So that we'll try to learn in this sessions at least. Now tell me. Come on. What India wants to talk? Border issues, okay, next. Terrorism, okay, next. War issues, okay. Come on. Okay, improve military and defense from Russia, okay, next. To talk about countering of Chinese expansionist policy. So actually one problem with China is it wants to expand its territory. whatever it may be, it is on land and even it is on water. So you will be learning much more interesting things about this China in your international relations class. Next, tell me. Yes, we can talk about trade. Very good. Teesta, Bangladesh is not part. Okay, now let us see. So from which subject we can see this? International relations. So can you expect mains or prelims question? Which question you can expect here? Both. So in 2025 prelims, they asked about 3 organizations, 3 groupings. So SCO is also one grouping. So you can expect a question regarding SCO. What kind of questions you can expect regarding SCO? They will be asking about members. Who are the founding members? Which members added later on, like that. And they will be asking about what are the objectives of this. Okay. And from mains, how can you expect a question? Guess. So here meeting is going on. One thing they can ask is what are the highlights of this meet? And this one is if it is a success, why it is success? If it is a failure, why it is failure? Okay, let us see that. Because of that, we can understand what are the challenges. So even you can get what are the challenges of this kind of organizations. So in this way, you can expect a question, guys. So now let us see exactly what is there in this article. During Shanghai Cooperation Organization Defense Minister meeting in Qingdao, China, India's Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and Chinese counterpart, they engaged in a significant bilateral dialogue focusing on ongoing border issues between 2 countries. So organization is going on, meeting is going on in that organizations, and in these organizations, defense ministers of members, they participated. On sidelines, India and China, they sat together and they talked about border issues. Okay, let us draw India-China border. Yeah, this is India-China border, right? So we are having issues between India and China in 3 areas. So here, which line we have? LAC, right? Here we have Aksai Chin. So Aksai Chin is part of India, but see the fate of India. So this part is given as a gift to China by Pakistan. Okay, see China got this as a gift from Pakistan. Despite of this area belongs to India. See what is the fate of India here. Okay, so this is LAC region. Now it is under control of again China. So this is the first area where we have issue. And here from 2020 onwards, there are some issues between India and China regarding this LAC region. And now we are in 2025. But till now, this issue had not been resolved. Some areas like Demchok Plains, Dipsang Valley and Patrolling Point 15, these 3 are important areas. Even now, they are under control of China. Okay? Why? They went for issue and even that led to Galwan Valley incident. In that Galwan Valley incident, 20 Indian soldiers they had died. We are going for many number of talks, rounds of talks, but there is no resolving of this issue. I am teaching this from 2020 onwards. Okay, next area here is in this Uttarakhand and UP region. This is called as middle sector. So this area is called as western sector. And here they are claiming entire Arunachal Pradesh. We want this Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh is part of China. So they are claiming this. And this is eastern sector. So these are the 3 areas which are in conflict between India and China. So what they are doing is they are very, very clever. So they want to occupy this entire Arunachal Pradesh region, and across this border they are developing model villages. If they are developing villages and if they are trying to move the people and if they are trying to come up with any settlements there, is it easy for them to occupy that or not? Yes, they are doing that thing. So developing of villages across this Indo-China border, especially near this Arunachal Pradesh, and they want to occupy this. Okay, and here, do you know this Chicken Neck Corridor? It will be like this. Okay, this is Bangladesh. So here, this area is called as Chicken Neck Corridor. Okay, this area is called as Chicken Neck Corridor. And here this route is very, very important for us to connect this mainland India with this north. Here we have northeastern part, right? And this region is around 90 to 108 kilometers. I can't recall the... 73. So please check it once. So it is very, very thin area. So China wants to block this. If China wants to occupy this Arunachal Pradesh, so if Indians or Indian army or Indian government, if it is not getting access to this northeastern part, it is easy to occupy this Arunachal Pradesh, right, for China. So here we have which country? Bhutan. So here what happened was in 2017, they occupied this tri-junction area. Bhutan tri-junction, this is China tri-junction, India tri-junction. They went for issues, or they caused lot of issues in this tri-junction because they want to occupy this Chicken Neck Corridor. If they are occupying this, then what happened? They can easily occupy this Arunachal Pradesh. So we are having lots of issues with this China. And one more allegation is in this northeastern part, we have, what are the problems we have in this northeastern region? Tell me now, I'll write here. In northeastern part, what are the problems we have? Illegal migrants. Yes or no? And do you know here we have Nagaland? Who will be there in this Nagaland? Naga people, they are tribal people. So these Nagas not only live in this Nagaland, but here nearby areas they will be living, they are spread, and they are fighting for Greater Nagaland. And what China is doing is, China is even providing arms. What happened? China is directly providing arms, and China is influencing people to fight against India. So China is influencing Indians to fight against India, so that it will be easily occupying this Arunachal Pradesh. So lots of tactics you are playing, especially in this northeastern part. So now we are getting an opportunity to talk about this border issues. So whenever you're talking about border issue, which things that you have to talk about? Western sector, middle sector, eastern sector, and you have to talk about development of model villages here and giving of arms and support to insurgent groups in this northeastern part to fight against India. And you have to write about Doklam issue in 2017 and LAC issue from 2020 onwards. And even if possible, you can also write about this death of 20 soldiers. Okay? Yeah. So now let us see what they are going to talk, the things which are given in this article. India and China reaffirm commitment to continue dialogue on border issues. We are doing this dialogues from 2020 onwards, but there is no resolving of tensions between India and China. And we are focusing on peace, de-escalation and disengagement along China border. But whether it happens or not, it won't happen according to my knowledge. I am teaching from 2018 onwards, current affairs. Every day or in a week, at least 3 to 4 times, there will be issue between India and China. From that time onwards, it is not resolving. Will it happen with this one meeting? I don't think so. And they are going for a structured roadmap for permanent border management and delimitation. Okay, they are talking about this, but finalizing of things that we'll be getting in tomorrow's or day after tomorrow's article. And tomorrow is Sunday, we'll be not getting this kind of articles. We have to wait till Monday or Tuesday regarding what the things they had done. Okay, that is a thing, nothing more than that. So here you have to see about issues. Where we have issues? Western sector, eastern sector and middle sector. In western sector we have LAC and this one is Aksai Chin region. And in eastern sector, as I said, we have Arunachal Pradesh sector is the issue. And what are the measures we are taking from 2020 to 2025? I will be giving you the list. Please make a note of it. It is very important and you may get mains question from this. First one here is we went for 2024 border agreement. Okay, 2024 border agreement. What is this agreement is about? I said this issue between India and China in this western sector started in 2020. So how before this 2020 was there, like how this pre-2020 patrolling patterns are there, we will be following that only. That is this agreement. But till now, there is no complete disengagement. Okay, I said about these issues. Please make a note here. Dipsang, Demchuk, and patrolling point 15, PP15. Please make a note. First one is PP15. That is nothing but patrolling point. Do you know patrolling point? What is the meaning of this? Any idea? Have you ever been to border? Have you ever been to border, anyone? No idea. So if you consider this as a border, so it's some distinct places. Okay, so here we will be having buffer between India and Pakistan. So at certain points we will be having our Indian army will be having tents and they will be guarding the border. They are called as patrolling points. On either side we have Chinese. Like that we have certain points and these points will be named patrolling point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. So actually patrolling point 15 was taken up by China. Okay, clear? Patrolling points. So patrolling point 15, next one is Demchuk and Dipsang. Dipsang plains. So these are the areas where we are fighting since 2020 onwards. These three areas are still now under control of China. Demchuk, Dipsang and patrolling point 15. That is the first agreement we made. And next one is from 2020 onwards, we are continuously going for military talks, diplomatic talks. So because of this diplomatic talk, some areas which had been occupied by China, they returned back. But as of now, they are holding three areas. And next one is we also established special representatives. So have you seen this movie Sitaramam? In that movie, they depict about India-Pakistan issue, right? Our Indian soldiers, they were captured. Two of them will be in the Pakistan jails. At that time, one person will be coming from India and he will be talking to this army people. We have two apples will written with two mangoes, the dialogue. Can you recall that? So those are the people who are established for talking between the countries if they are having issue. They are called as special representatives. So in 2003 itself, we established these special representatives to discuss long-term solutions. What is their role? They have to establish peace across the border. And we did that from 2003 onwards. And next one is we also developed infrastructure. Okay, one important point that you have to remember is if you are having a border, so if there is any issue which is happening at that border means we need to have a proper infrastructure. Like we need to have proper roads, proper equipments, proper guarding, everything, right? So in our border areas, we have BRO, Border Roads Organization. So this organization is responsible for development of infrastructure across the border. And we are using this BRO and we developed infrastructure across this border so that we can reach that spot within a very less time, so that we can decrease damage. Okay, that is the thing. And to counter this, and I said one important point, like across this India and China border, they are developing villages, right? So to counter that, India is also trying to build border villages and we are expanding infrastructure, including roads, airfields, so that we can have the proper control across this border. So these are the steps we are taking. So one of you asked what India is doing. These are the steps India is doing from 2020 to 2025. So before that also lot of steps India took. Okay, and see this article. Dhole spotted again in Assam's Kaziranga. So what is the image that you can see here? Can you see the image? What is this? Dhole. How it is looking like? A dog? It is nothing but Asiatic dog. Asiatic dog is called as Dhole. And where it was spotted? In which area? Assam's Kaziranga. Kaziranga is a national park. It is very, very important. And from environment and ecology point of view, if you are getting any animal or any plant species in news, you will be getting a question. Last time there was a question regarding one spider species in 2025 prelims. You have to be very careful. You'll get questions regarding national parks, biosphere reserves, wildlife sanctuaries, whatever it may be. Okay, you have to be very careful regarding environment. So whatever the things that you are studying in your basic standard classes, that will suffice only for your mains. For prelims, you have to follow current affairs for sure. Okay, at least 1 to 1.5 year current affairs. So from which subject it is important? From environment and ecology, right? So now let us see some facts regarding this Asiatic wild dog that is called as dhole. So have you ever seen this forest dogs, wild dogs? Yes. So how we can differentiate from normal domestic dogs? So we will be having a habit of maintaining pets. So how can we differentiate a wild dog with a pet dog? Okay, pet dog will listen to you. Wild dogs, they won't listen to you. Next. Teeth. Teeth. What is the difference in the teeth of pet dog and wild dog? Which teeth will be strong? Wild dog. Why? So actually, whatever the pets we are maintaining, we'll offer food. There is no need of chasing us or biting us or killing any other organism, right? But wild dogs, will there any person who will feed them? Whatever the cookies that we are doing, tongue also different. Why? They have to survive in that area. If they have to survive, they should be cruel. If they are like soft like us, will they survive there? It will fall as a prey under another animal, right? So because of this, the tongue and as well as canines will be very strong, and even chasing powers, the tactics they will follow will be different compared to that of our domestic dog. And even the digestive system will be also different. Okay, it is a wild candid found in forest, especially we can see in Central, South and Southeast Asia. And other names of this dog is Indian wild dog, whistling dog, red wolf, red dog and mountain wolf. You have to make a note of that alternate names, because sometimes UPSC will be using alternate names in mains and as well as prelims. And where they are seen normally in Eastern and as well as Southeastern Asia, and even they can see in Siberia as well, and Malaysian islands also we can see that. In India, we can see them in Western and Eastern Ghats and Central Indian landscape, Northeastern India. Yeah, that is the thing. And see about some facts regarding this Kaziranga National Park, where it is located in state of Assam. Very important. And this Kaziranga National Park is very much famous for certain animals. What are they? Rhinoceros, that too one-horned rhinoceros. Have you seen this rhino? One-horned rhinoceros. And apart from that, any other animal which is famous? Wild ass, okay, and wild buffalo. They are very famous in this region. Okay, and can anyone tell me which river is flowing in this national park? River Brahmaputra, very important. And it is also declared as World Heritage Site by UNESCO in year 1985. Okay, and see this article. Assam Mizoram draft rules to curb illegal immigration. What is this article talking about? Illegal migration. What is the meaning of illegal migration? People are entering without proper documents. They are called as illegal migrants. And here Assam and Mizoram are which part of our country? Northeastern part. They are northeastern states, right? So northeastern states are sharing boundary with which and which countries? Myanmar, Bangladesh, China and even Bhutan. That means from all these countries we have a problem of illegal migration. So tell me now, from which country we have this problem? Bangladesh. Next, even Myanmar. So what is the issue with Bangladesh? Political instability. To save their lives, people are coming outside and entering. And what happened in this Myanmar? We have free movement regime. So people can move freely. How much area? What is the line that I set in earlier classes? 16 kilometers. For 16 kilometers, they can move without any visa. So because of this, we have this problem of illegal migration from these two areas mostly. Okay, now tell me, if you are an IAS officer in that northeast, so normally you will be getting punishment postings. Do you know this? What about this punishment postings? In training, if you are not disciplined, if you're not following this rules and regulations, you will be getting punishment posting. In that punishment posting, first posting will be in Andaman and Nicobar. There. And second one is in Northeast. Northeast is the deadliest area because mostly tribes, their living will be different, their culture is different. So if you're posted in this Northeast, the main problem you will come across is illegal migration. Now what steps you will take to control this illegal migration? Passports, tell me, what will you do? This will be your case study in your ethics for sure this time. I'll show you after once paper comes. Already government did this recently, banning of or removal of this free movement regime between India and Myanmar. Next. Tightening security. How you can tighten security? Where you will do that? Across border areas, you can tighten security. Okay, valid point. Next. Random checks. Okay, do passport. After checking, if you find that person is an illegal migrant, what will you do? Okay, send them back. What if they will resist? Killing? How can you kill them? It is against human rights violation. Okay, you have to use force and you have to send them back. Apart from that? Yes, we have to check which documents. Which documents will you check? Yes, Aadhaar card. Next. Next. Passport. You can check Aadhaar card. Next. Think and tell me. This kind of situation you have to face in future. I'm not asking something irrelevant or irrelevant. Citizenship. Next. Birth certificate. Okay. One question I wanted. Do you have birth certificate now with you? Are you carrying now? Then how can you check a birth certificate? He said. Okay, next. So think practical. So what are the steps you are taking or what are the ideas you are getting? So think whether it is practical or not. Take information from? How can you take? Okay, if I ask you which state are you from, what you will say? Okay, you have to inquire it. What if that person is saying something irrelevant or lies? Okay, so yeah, if you say correct, will you stay here? I will be sending you back. With that fear, will you give correct information? Nitin, will you give correct information? Based on the situation, human. Okay, we need a proper information sharing of people across this border at least. Voluntary. Okay, in Andhra Pradesh model of volunteers, you can, okay, we can do that also. Okay, from which subject it is important, guys? Yes, governance. And even illegal migration is one important problem which is creating security issues. So can we connect from internal security from GS paper 3? Yes. From GS paper 3 and from GS paper 2 it is important. That is in other country. How can we do? Okay, we have to implement reservation for education and employment in our country for locals. Okay, so we'll think about it. Okay, see here, northern Indian states of Assam and Mizoram, they have introduced stringent measures to prevent illegal immigration and unauthorized cross-border movements. Let us see how they are doing. So Assam restricts Aadhaar issuance. So now, Whoever the illegal migrants are there here, till now they did something like giving of Aadhars. From now onwards, they are closing Aadhars, issuance for other new people. And next one here is, in some Assam districts, they have Aadhaar card holders exceeding their projected population, signaling infiltration by migrants. So normally, whatever the population they had, so they gave more Aadhaar cards. That means they gave Aadhaar to illegal migrants also. So they are now filtering it to send them back. Okay, let us see here clearly. So first one here is they made restrictions on Aadhaar issuance. From June 27, 2025 onwards, Aadhaar cards for adults will be issued only by DCs with rigorous verification to prevent undocumented immigrants from obtaining them. First step. And second step is birth and death registration. So in yesterday's class also we discussed about RGI and what statement he gave. Tell me what. Okay, before discharge itself, they have to get the birth certificates, especially in the government hospitals. So if you are making this birth and death registrations stricter, can we control this, immigrants? Yeah, that is the thing they are doing. And next one here is pushback policy. Pushback policy is nothing but if they find your illegal immigrants, you are sending back. So please make a note, it is very important, this word, pushback policy. You have to use this kind of keywords, pushback policy. So rather than sending them back, you can use this word, pushback policy, can implement pushback policy. And this one is they are focusing on enhancing surveillance and coordination with central agencies like BSF and additional force deployment to curb infiltration. That means they are focusing on border security. And this one is state also improves arms license for original inhabitants and indigenous Indian citizens. Okay, they are giving even license for arms so that they are going to empower these local peoples so that they will make them afraid to go away or to go back. And next one is we came up with this National Register of Citizens where they went for giving of or keeping of records of only Indians in Assam. And what they are doing in this Mizoram, they are going for ID confiscation. So Mizoram nationals' identity cards are to be retained during their stay to regulate movement with warnings of stern action for misuse of shelter. So actually the problem with this Mizoram here is from Myanmar the people will be coming and going. As I said, we have free movement regime. So if they are coming and going here means they have to maintain proper ID cards. Okay, so they are going for ID confiscation. If they are staying more time in our country, they are going and they are taking this ID card so that there will be curbing of illegal movement. And next one is they are using this biometric data and they are focusing on security coordination. Okay, so these are the steps which are taken by Mizoram. And why this illegal migration is happening in this northeastern part? Can anyone tell me? This will be a main answer or main question. Huh? Because we are sharing boundary with 4 countries here in this small area. Okay, that is the one reason. Next, political instability in Bangladesh, free movement regime. Next. Yeah, Rohingyas or examples, they are coming from Myanmar. Which kind of threats? Okay, war. So first one is porous border, that is nothing but free movement regime. And next one is economic disparities. So actually in Bangladesh and Myanmar, they don't have proper economic opportunities. Because of that, there is increasing of poverty and as well as lack of employment in their countries. So they are entering into India. And next important reason is political instability, as you know. And next one is there are certain rackets which are providing fake identity documents like Aadhaar cards, enabling illegal immigrants to integrate into Indian society. This is also one important problem, fake documents. And next one here is from pre-independence onwards, migration is happening from East Bengal and post-partition refugees. So do you know why we'll call this Bengal as West Bengal? What is the reason? Okay, Bangladesh was once part of undivided India. Okay, so here what happened after this British came? They divided India, this Bangladesh, right? It is earlier it was called as East Pakistan. So here we have Pakistan, right? So this is West Pakistan and this is East Pakistan. And here in this area, it is mainly dominated by Muslims and here this area based on Hindu. They came up with divide and rule policy. They divided this area, this entire Bengal was divided into two provinces. One is west and one is east. So this is East Pakistan. They divided based on religion. Here in this west part we have Hindus, they are called as Bengalis, right? And here we have Muslims. So what happens? They have common culture, relatives, marriage alliances, etc. So here and there movement will happen or not. So that is one important problem from this Bangladesh. So these all overall reasons for illegal migration in this northeastern part. Clear? Okay, now let us see next article. No time to rest. India did well in climbing up SDG rankings but falls short in governance. Recently we discussed about SDG rankings, that is Sustainable Development Goals rankings. What is India's rank? 99 out of how many countries? Okay, out of 167, India's rank is 99. What was earlier? That is 2024. 109. That is 10 ranks we jumped. Okay, so this article is saying that yes, we are doing very good. In which areas we are doing good? Please make a note here. In this paragraph, they said we are doing very good in decreasing of poverty. So how we are doing good in poverty reduction? Can anyone tell me what steps government is taking? Government is providing employment opportunities, right? Can anyone tell me what are the schemes? We have MG Narega. Next we have Rozgar Yojana. And government is giving more support for this MSMEs, that is micro, medium and small enterprises, where they are generating employment opportunities. And government is also focusing on education. We have midday meals program. We have national education policy which had been implemented in 2020. And even government is trying to improve enrollments in government schools, increasing of infrastructures, and even government is trying hard to reduce hunger. Like government came up with this PDS system, that is public distribution system, where government is providing food grains at a very low cost. And even we have Antyodaya Anna Yojana, where family will be getting 35 pages of food grains. So like that, lots of steps government is taking, right? So because of this, the performance of India is good. They said about poverty reduction. And next one is they said about hunger. And they said about improvement of health. Stunting people had been improved. Wasting people had been improved. And next one here is they said about electrification of houses, quality of power we are providing. And even nowadays we are providing these LED lights rather than old red color wala lights, so that we are increasing standard of living of people. And government is also providing subsidized LPG cylinders for below poverty line people, so that government is focusing on women empowerment and decreasing of diseases for women and as well as children. Yes or no? So because of all these things, yes, we are improved a lot. That is the thing which mainly said. And here in this last 2 points they said about, although we are lagging behind in this performance of governance we are not doing good. That means properly government is not focusing on service delivery, and even there is no proper rule of law, and there is no press freedom, and there is no strong and independent institutions. So SDG 16 is lagging behind. Okay, so write down SDG 2025 ranking. India's rank is 99, and we are doing good. Okay, write in this way, just SDG 2025 rankings. India's ranking is 99 out of 167, and 2024 ranking is 109 out of 167. And here just write improvements in what and lagging in what. So this analysis you will be getting a mains based question. Lagging we are doing in governance, which is affecting SDG 16. Okay, please make a note here. I'll dictate about improvements. Okay. SDG 2025 rankings, in present ranking and last year ranking, and we are lagging in governance, that is affecting SDG 16. Okay, and write down where we are doing good is SDG 1, we are doing good under SDG 1. It is about poverty. And next we are doing good in SDG 2, which is about hunger. SDG 2, hunger. And next we are doing good at SDG 7. SDG 7. And next SDG 9. Next one SDG 4. So in these 5 indicators we had been improved. SDG 4. Okay. Yeah, these are the important topics that happened in our today's Hindi newspaper. By this I'm concluding, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned a lot. And one more thing I want to again recall it is we are providing free demo classes for new prelims cum mains foundation batch from yesterday till July 3rd. So please do use this opportunity, and we are providing classes at the timings will be like 2:30 to 6:30 p.m. and you can access online or offline. So for offline, please do visit our academy, which is exactly above Vikas Center in Ashok Nagar, and for online, please do download our Rathod Science Academy app and please do register, and after that you will be getting notification before starting of the class. And I wish you all the best, guys, and please do subscribe to our channel and do follow our Instagram, where we are providing daily prelims question, mains question and model answer, and as well as current affairs in short. Thank you so much, guys.